Hey, Vic, first off, I have a question for you, but can you just go over the participation guys who did not participate or were limited today in practice?
Spencer, Tachu, Watson, Beck, and Risner did not participate. Chubb, Hamler, Purcell, Fant, Bouye, Draymond, and Walker were limited.
Okay. A lot was made this spring, not just you guys, but everybody in the division tried to add speed to their roster so they could catch up to or keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite the injuries that you've had, how do you think you stack up as far as getting faster on defense and offense?
Well, as it pertains to the offense, it's been sporadic because of the injuries. Sutton hadn't played but 20 plays and won't play. Hamler's been out for most of the season. So that's part of the speed there that you're hoping for. I don't think it's so much to keep up with the Chiefs. Speed's a good thing. We just want to improve our team. So it's incomplete on offense because of guys being absent.
Next one, Ryan O'Halloran.
Hey, Vic, in the red zone for you guys offensively, 30th through a couple of weeks now. Why is that a tough area for a young quarterback and also a young receiver and tight ends?
Well, everything gets squished up down there. The inline becomes the 12th defender for the defense, and things are tighter. Things have to be more precise, and it's just tougher for the offense down there. The good red zone offenses are able to run the ball some down there too and have a good mix of run and pass. And we haven't found our niche down there yet, obviously.
Next one, Jeff Legwand.
Nick, when you face the really top-level quarterbacks, how do you think about whether to blitz them or not, given a lot of those guys almost want you to blitz them? I mean, how do you walk that line when you're trying to decide?
Well, it's a fine line, like you said, but the definition of a great quarterback to me is one of the definitions is there's no one way to play him. You can't go pressure heavy. You can't just void yourself of pressure. You can't play all man. You can't play all zone. You got to mix it up because the great quarterbacks are too good. And this quarterback is definitely great. He's got great weapons. They got a great offensive scheme, and they're really tough to beat. So there's no one way to play them, or people would have tried it. As you've seen the scores, nobody's kind of broken that code yet.
Next one, Troy.
Coach, did they give you more to think about with Andy Reid running the ball 45 times against the Bills as they looked like they dropped, just from my naked eye, like 8 guys practically in coverage, and they still won in a totally untraditional way for them? Does that give you more something to think about after what they did against Buffalo?
Yeah, believe it or not, they're a better offense than they were last year. And because of the addition of Edwards, Hilaire, he's a great back. And, I don't know, he had 160, 70 yards rushing the other night. He's running the ball good all season. They have another weapon. They have another dimension to their game. And when you add him to who Mahomes can deal the ball to the wideouts and the tight ends, they're double tough to stop. Since Mahomes has become the starting quarterback there, they're an offsides penalty in the 2018 championship game from going for a three-peat here, not just a repeat. So they're really, really good, and they've even gotten better because of that back.
Guys, next we'll do Mike Kliss before opening it up to the entire group. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, Andy Reid has a little bit of hocus pocus to his offense, misdirection, look over here, play goes over there. Is that difficult, as a defensive coordinator when you go against a guy who does that kind of stuff, and does it work? Yeah,
it does make it difficult, and it does work, when you have the weapons that they have. But it's one thing to have great talent. These guys execute the stuff they do, which is multiple, very, very well, and it starts with the quarterback. But, Andy's probably having more fun now than he's ever had in his coaching career with the guys he's got on offense and that quarterback being the trigger guy. So they're really tough to stop. You know, they got a lot of weapons. They can run it. They can throw it. They throw it deep. They run the reverses. They run the fly sweeps. They're a good screen team. You name it, they got it. And Andy does a good job of orchestrating it when he's calling the game.
Next, we'll go Andy Tusher, ESPN.
Hey, Vic. Travis Kelce had that big game, as you remember, in the snow last year. And so I'm curious to get your take on this. I mean, he and Pat always seem to have things figured out when the conditions aren't right or when nothing else seems to be working. And I just was curious, feel like that's just two good players doing what they do, or you feel like there's maybe something a little else between the two of them?
Both. They definitely have karma between them. You know, they can ad-lib the routes, and they're all on this. Both of them are on the same page when they're doing that. He's a really tough guy to cover. He's got size. He's got great route running instincts, when to pivot, when to not pivot, when to stay with the exact route. And obviously Mahomes is very comfortable throwing it to him because he's a big guy. And a lot of times he's on DB, so he outsizes them, but yet he runs really good routes. So they're precise, and when they need to ad lib, they've been together now. This is their third season with Mahomes being the starter, and they really got some good karma between each other.
Next, we got Herbie Teope with KC Star.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Thanks for taking a moment to talk with the Chiefs Media Corps. You mentioned the running backs with the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and what they did coming off of Buffalo. But what was your reaction when you heard they added Le'Veon Bell, and what are some of the challenges defending against a dual-threat running back?
Well, it's always a big challenge, you know. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a dual threat. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. We all know that Le'Veon Bell has been that his entire career, and Williams is a damn good back too. So it's almost no matter who they put in there, it's a threat, you know, because this is an offense that uses the running back both obviously in the running game and in the passing game. And all three of those guys, including Darwin Thompson, are all capable of filling that role for them and doing it well.
Next, we got Ed Warder, ESPN.
Hey, Vic. I guess I want to ask you about two of their key defensive players and how unique they are. Chris Jones, given his size as a pass rusher, playing a run inside, and then the versatility of Matthew. He can rush the passer. He can play in pass defense. How unique are those guys' skill sets in your experience as one of the top defensive coaches in football, and how they use them? Yeah,
starting with Chris Jones, he's a monster inside there. When they rush him, if he's not the best inside rusher in the game, he's 2 or 3. And he's a big guy that's got power, strength. He's a good athlete for a man his size. He's got a great knack for batting balls. He made 3 or 4 of the biggest plays for them last year in the Super Bowl, which allowed them to win that game. He's tremendous, and they obviously think so too by what they paid him, which I was hoping they lost him somehow. Matt, Honey Badger is just a great versatile defensive back. He can play safety. He can play nickel. He can play dime. If they got thin, he could go out and play corner. He's just a tremendous instinctive football player no matter what he's doing, whether he's playing a deep zone, whether he's covering somebody man, whether he's blitzing. He's one of the most versatile, instinctive defensive backs that I've seen in the last 10 years or so. He's been around. So those two guys are great, great players.
Next one, Kyle Newman.
Vic Bradley Chubb, 3.5 sacks in the last couple games. Has he gotten his legs completely back under him? Is he just getting some momentum going? What's kind of your prognosis of where he's at right now?
He's definitely improving each and every week, coming off the ACL. If you were to – it's harder to see on a week-to-week basis to a degree, but if you compare week 1 and week 2 to week 5, you would see the difference. He's getting better and better. He's getting more confident on it. He's feeling stronger on it, and it's reflective in his play.
Guys, time for a few more. Next one, Hey, Gregorian, Casey Stark.
Hey, Vic, thank you. I wonder if you could just sort of summarize Drew Lock's arc, the progress he's made since you first got him, and also just what you think the key to that has been.
Well, his progress has been good when he's been out there, since we got him, since you phrased it that way. He missed the first 10 weeks of the season last year. Did a nice job getting his first action down the stretch, then has a good camp this year and then gets hurt very early, like the 10th or 11th play in the second game. And, misses all of that game really in the next two. So, gets to start last week. So we need a good stretch with him, to where he can play the rest of the season, for instance, and get comfortable in there. The guys get comfortable with him. The coaches get to know him better and tailor things to him that he does well. But he's doing good. I'm glad we have him. I have great hope for him, and we're glad we have him.
Next one, Zach Stevens.
Hey, Coach, piggybacking off of that, Andy Reid said the beautiful thing about Drew Lock's game is that he gets better over time. How much time do you think it takes for a quarterback to show who he truly is in the NFL?
They get better. The great ones get better every day, every season, every game. Just like Mahomes. I mean, it's hard for you to believe. You might think I'm just blowing smoke, but he's better this year than he was last year. And he was better last year than he was the year before. These are young quarterbacks that, regardless of what level they're at right now, they can continue to improve because their skill sets just keep getting better and better.
Final two, Nick and Eric. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Vic, you mentioned Reisner not playing today. Is there any update on his status?
No, we just, he's got the shoulder there that he couldn't finish the game with the other day. We're hopeful that he'll play, but it's questionable.
Final one, Eric.
Coach, KJ hasn't played much this season, but when he's been out there, how does he change how you're able to attack defenses? And then what's his prognosis for this week, do you think?
Yeah, we're hopeful that he can play this week. We'll see how he does these next couple days in practice. But he has speed, and he's quick, and he's a really good runner with the ball after the catch. So anytime you can add a guy like that to your offense, it's going to help you.